always have been, but all of a sudden that big jump in it wasn't needed last year. First they thought it was, and then found out it wasn't needed.
Now,
So that'd be another one.
in the interest of full disclosure regarding economic development, my husband is the director of Montana Business Assistance Connection, and I do volunteer with Broadwater County Development Corp. Neither of those relies on Broadwater County for personal payment at all. BCDC, I'm a volunteer. MBAC, my husband's salary is derived from federal, state, revolving loan funds, a myriad of other revenues that they have. Broadwater County's impact to MBAC is less than 3%. If
So it shouldn't matter to take that out of there then.
It doesn't matter to MBAC, Franklin. It matters to Broadwater County hugely. There are things going on right now, and Mike, just so you know, I asked Vic to invite you to the next MBAC meeting so that you can see firsthand what they are doing for Broadwater County. You're always welcome to go, but I asked him to specifically invite you and take you. Victor Sample is Broadwater County's appointee to the board, so that there is citizen representation for Broadwater County. But again, if we want a repeat of just having the values go up for existing property and losing mills every year, then yes, we don't concentrate or even consider the value of economic development for this community. If we want the benefits like last year of a 9% increase and more mills in order to balance this budget and give more money to public safety, which is what we did, we have got to have the new business growth for Broadwater County. That's what's hurting us so badly this year. So whatever you guys want to do on that's fine. I think it's more transparent to leave it here. If you would rather take it out and fund it through PILT, that's fine with me. Either
It
way.
doesn't have to be funded at all for a year or so. We got in this mess. It was coming and it was coming, and like I said, I saw it coming 3 years ago.
What did you do to help it along, Franklin? To help stay
I was
this?
beat down on everything that I suggested.
Okay. So, I'm going to move, in order to move us forward, that we charge Debbie with looking to see what the result is of Corey's suggestion regarding the deputy county attorney and the secretary request for 20 hours, and infill the balance we need for both district court and general fund to get them balanced out of the negative from PILT. And at a glance should be around 25,000 tops.
And on that, we need to check with the city if they're gonna add that additional 10,000, or if the result of that would be that they wouldn't add that additional 10,000.
I'll second for discussion. My point of discussion is, Corey, if you're gonna give this, this assistant up, or the deputy up, if things move faster than we're thinking on this case, is that gonna be a situation where we need to bring in a deputy attorney for some of this business? And if you were to advertise it, do you not think you would get anyone qualified, or do you not think you would get any applicants at all because of the short time frame of having a deputy for only 11 months?
I think honestly, I don't know that I would get anybody to actually take the job. I mean, the job's great, it's a good job, salary is competitive, it's not quite what Lewis and Clark County does, or it's close to what they do, but it's a little more than public defenders do. The city of Helena is higher than all of those. So possibility of getting an applicant. I think the issue is by the way, this job ends 30 days after a trial, we don't know when that trial is, but it's likely in the summer, so this job ends next summer. I think that's where you get someone that goes, geez, I'm gonna leave my current job, travel to Townsend, and then be done at a date when, you know, I'm gonna have,
30 days notice.
yeah, I mean, obviously, once, at some point, the trial's not gonna move, you know, the trial's gonna go, and then, or suddenly it settles, right? We get a plea agreement, and now you 30 days started right now. So that's where I think you run into it, that's a recruitment problem, and I think that's so the reality is, what I don't wanna have is we've all inflicted this pain on everybody, and then I have 75,000 that's unspent for the year because I haven't hired somebody. 'Cause that's the prospect where it makes me go, this isn't gonna.
Discussion is for Debbie to go ahead on, you said we just were talking about them. Okay,
I'll get to it.
okay.
I think we should have a vote though on the motion.
Well, if we need a motion, just,
I already
It's-
made one,
it's
and it
open.
was seconded for discussion, and now we need to either vote or not.
You might wanna see if there's public comment too.
yeah, I'd ask for public comment. Anybody gonna have a comment? Okay, guess not. The motion as it was stated then. Put a vote, all in favor,
Aye.
against. I am to the extent that I think what I've been saying should be also heard, shouldn't just be falling on deaf ears like it has for 3 years.
Anything else of me?
Mm-mm.
Do I plan to get you started there?
Oh, yeah. Stop security. Beautiful place. Thank you.
Thanks, Debbie.
Yeah, thank you. Again, any other comments from anybody?
So I'll offer one comment before I take off. I didn't get a chance to watch all of last week's meetings, I'm probably not going to. I did have several people come to me and say, hey, this is what's being discussed down there. And I felt like there were several instances of very inaccurate information about my office and other offices, and a fair amount of criticism too, that I think is both wrong and unfair. So I would say if you have an issue that you want to bring up, then I would ask that I, or if it's another elected official, have the chance to come here and address it. Or if you want to talk about it privately, that's fine, we're talking about it privately. But in particular, some of the change on the secretary last week, I had no idea in advance you guys were going to do that. Those kinds of things, I'm not asking, I mean, I think it's a necessary professional courtesy. If it's my budget, Wynn's budget, Val's budget, Kurt's budget, if you're gonna do that, or you're gonna come in and put all your negative views on the record and on YouTube for the world to see, give us the courtesy of being able to be here and tell you whether or not that's accurate or how it's gonna impact us.
The sheriff sent out an email pertaining to that same thing.
Well, I figured I would just tell you in person.
And I agree with Corey too. The same thing happened last year, and we're going in the same direction.
All right. I know you guys have a tough job to do,
Yeah.
and I feel like
But we'll
we,
never get it done without your folks' help.
Well, but I feel like we haven't quite got to a complete shared understanding of the global issue of our county budget. And that's something that I'd certainly am willing to find a way to both spend time as well as study to become more expert on. I also think that, I've some people in the community have approached me about people who run successful businesses who would be happy to be more involved in the process of advising on investments, you name it, revenue sources, priorities, etc. And I think we should take them up on it. Because this, not only are the finances difficult, but when you apply it to local government, it's a unique animal. And we're in a certain set of statutes and a certain set of accounting practices that in some way are unique, and in some way anyone who's had to ever balance a budget is going to recognize and is going to be able to contribute. So I don't know if we've thought about any kind of a advisory group, but I know we tend to have about 10 people that are pretty active in the county that are here on issue after issue. So some of them, I think, certainly would be willing to do that, and I think maybe we need to expand beyond that to some other folks who aren't the usual suspects. And I'd be willing to reach out to a couple folks that have approached me about it. But when we face challenges, and I think this has been a challenge, this year has been a challenge, we reach this point where we've got to decide either this thing's going to pull us apart or we're going to pull together. And I feel like it's been a bit of an accordion these last couple months, because we've been attempting to pull together, and then sometimes we nearly pull apart. So I would just say that this is our time to pull together, and that's why I offered that today. It's going to be a little painful for me, but I recognize the pain shared by others, and that's why I did it. Okay?
Thank you, Corey, for
Appreciate that, Corey. It's gonna be tough, but we just don't have a money tree. I wish we did.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Can we have a quick question? Can we have a quick
Franklin's the
question?
chair.
public yeah, or what is it?
All I need is, I need to find out what we need to do to have a petition out of the silos in the subdivision to have a 25-mile-an-hour speed limit.
Perfect question.
We had a petition going out there, but somebody said you couldn't turn it in because of something. Is there a problem there?
No, please turn him in. Nicole Brown is our community development. She's just 2 doors down on the left.
Okay.
She, I understand, sent a bunch of petitions. There's supposed to be one at the store, a couple
Yeah,
of your
there was,
community
and we all
leaders.
signed it, but then nothing happened with it, and we didn't know it didn't go anywhere.
Yeah, what you need to do is just let us know. We can put you on the agenda, have a
Oh,
public
okay.
hearing, and then we can go ahead and put in that 25-mile-per-hour speed limit.
All right. The reason it's so necessary out there is with the recreational thing there, we're getting so, between the traffic from that and the boat deal of checking boats, I mean, it's just continually stirring up the dust, and it was bad enough as it is. And we have a lot of retired people there that are suffering on account of it. So hopefully plus the big trucks that haul, our county has grown so with all the development. It amazes me every time I drive up and down the highway anymore with the way things are going. And we just keep getting more and more building and people, and I don't know how many houses have been built out there in that silos. I don't know if you've noticed it or not, but a lot. So, but anyway, thank you.
Thank you very
Thank you.
much.
Anything else you brought up, commissioners?
I do have something, and I was hoping there'd be some more public comment on this, but I think my heart goes to Jody. I know she's hurting, and I cannot imagine what she's going through. But I just wanted to correct a couple of things just for the record. One is what I told Wynn, and this is something this commission's gonna have to be aware of. We have increased the spending of public safety year after year after year, and we have cut the spending for 4-H and fair and senior citizens and general fund year after year after year. At some point, we can't continue this. What I told Win is, if you need a bailout, because he has very little reserves this year, I don't think we can offer that next June, especially if we have this trial still coming up at that point. We have given the deputies a COLA increase, cost of living raise. Last year it was 2.5, just like everybody else. I'm not sure what that was. Brenda's lawsuit, that was totally different. But the problem is by law, deputies' salaries are tied to the elected officials. By law, they can only make their percentage of what the sheriff makes. So unless elected officials get a big bump, those deputies won't get a big bump. And there's no political will to vote ourselves raises, and with the deputies coupled on us, that's just one of the realities that's faced by all counties. We're not alone. And then as far as the chaplain, Eric Crush, I fought to get his payments to his travel to South Carolina covered. I also fought to get him paid. It was an email from another attorney that said, watch out, because this isn't an allowable expense. And that's why I pressed Corey to give us the permission and the backing to give that. So I'm really sad that that was misinterpreted, or she was told that incorrectly. So that's all I have to say. Again, my heart is with her. I know that she's hurting in a way that I can't even imagine.
Okay, nothing else, we'll adjourn at 11:15.